Hi viewers, and welcome to another episode of On the Farm. We're vocal about everything local. I am Shakima Hanley. On this episode, we'll be dealing with a backyard gardener and showcasing how they'll be able to do some cultivation in a small space using a grow box. But before we get into it, we take a short break and be right back after this.
My name is Quincy Bat. I'm the Plant Health and Plant Quarantine Officer. I would just like to notify farmers and backyard farmers that we here at the Department of Agriculture identify a new type of pest that is prevalent in the Malvaceae family. When we're talking about Malvaceae family, we're talking about okra, sorrel, cotton, and also some of the Solanaceae families such as eggplant, sweet pepper. This pest we found to be a leaf hopper. The leaf hopper is a small pest and it's a sucking insect. This sucking insect serves as a vector for a virus that affects these host plants. So the pest, it's green, pale green, and it has flying capabilities, and it's very, very prolific. Signs and symptoms of the pest is that it sucks the plant and transmits a disease, and this disease you can see crinkling of the leaves, yellow lesions of the leaves, and necrotic lesions, and it affects the yield significantly. So once you see that in your okras, your sorrel, eggplants, give us a call and we're able to give you guidance on how to control this pest. Thank you.
Welcome back, viewers. So as mentioned, we're here today to showcase how you can cultivate or do a little bit of backyard gardening in a small space. Today we're using a grow box. The size of the grow box is 3 by 4, which can equivalent to 8 seedlings per space, 1 square foot per seedling. We already added the dirt inside of it. We have about 2 bags of soil, fresh topsoil that is placed to fill this space. And today we'll be planting out pak choy, kale, seasoned pepper, tomato, and cauliflower. I have here with me Mr. Kyron Phillip, who will be assisting me with planting today. So what we're going to do first is space section off the grow box. You're trying to create 8 spaces, 4 on each side. So first we're going to draw a center line down the middle as your guide. And then you're going to make 3 lines, which would equivalent to 4 sections. So we have here 1, and then we have here 2. If you wanted to make it easy, you could have do center line first and then cross the box, cut the box in the center, this direction, and then you just make the additional 2 lines. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. Each one equivalating to 1 square foot per space because the box is 4 by 2. So we're going to place the various seedlings in a location. So first I have kale. I have pak choy. Karen just collected another pak choy. Kale. I have a tomato. We have another tomato, so we have 2 tomatoes. I chose to put both tomatoes together. Either you can put them side by side this way, or you can put them side by side this way. Reason being, as the tomatoes grow, you'll have to stake them. So if you just use one staking in between of them to do both, it is fine because it's a very small space. Next, we place a seasoned pepper, and then we have a cauliflower. All right. So now that you have laid out your seedlings, you know that each seedling has its own space or its own box. So what we're going to do now, we're going to create the hole. So we're going to create the hole. Just make a separation. Place the seedling inside of the hole, and then you cover it. That's it. So we're going to do that for all of the other plants. and you cover it. In terms of creating the hole, you just go at least one finger down to create the space. You may wonder why we have them like fluffing around. It is to help with aeration so that the soil is not compact, and then it gives the roots enough space to breathe. So all of the seedlings are already planted out. On the end, we have both cauliflower and kales on both ends. Then you have the two tomatoes next to each other, a seasoned pepper and a cauliflower. And the tomatoes are strategically placed right next to each other because as the tomatoes get older, you have to stake them. So you probably just need to put one stake here that can stand proxy for the two tomatoes, that can support both tomatoes. After planting, then you water. You just ensure that you wet the soil as much as possible so they could have enough water. Also, time of day can also be a factor, which determines the amount of water that they need. Right now, it's already about midday. So the sun, for sure, it's going to very much evaporate most of this water. So you just want to ensure you give them a good soak that can keep them throughout the soil. The top might look wet, but the bottom might not get enough water that would be able to penetrate downward. So how often do you water per day? We usually say you give the plants 30 minutes per day. You can bust it in 2 times. So first thing in the morning and then later in the evening. We advise you not to water as much during the very, very hot moments of the day, which is around lunchtime, because the sun is very hot, so evaporation would happen much faster. But in the event that the seedlings do need water, then you can give them a little bit of water during the day. Reason being, because we know we have a very hot climate at this particular moment. Some of the things that we want you to look out for as the crops them grow throughout their duration: pests and diseases. You may see some effects of something affecting them. If you see some little holes, it could be a worm. If you look under the underleaf of the plant, you may see something on top of it. It can either be aphids, mealybugs, whatever the situation is. In situations like that, we ask you and we encourage you to get in contact with the department, especially the extension division, and we'll be able to come and take a better look at it and then advise you as in terms of what to do, whether you want to apply a chemical or you want to be as organic as possible and use some sort of organic pesticide. Another thing that you can do to also retain water in your soil, you can do mulching. Either you can cut some grass and just spread them around the soil. That would also help to keep some of your moisture retained inside of the grow box. Something else that we are also considering, yes, we did tell you to choose the appropriate location so it is not too shaded. But something you can also do is probably just put like 4 stakes around it, and it could create a nice little shaded covering over the crops. That would also help to keep off some of the direct sunlight from affecting them. That would also absorb a lot of the water. All right, so a little bit of insight on the crops that we planted today. As mentioned, we planted kale. Kale is a 6 week crop from seedlings, 3 weeks first from sowing to seedlings, and then transplanting another 3 weeks, in total 6 weeks crop. Then we have the tomatoes. Tomatoes, if you do direct seeding of tomatoes, it takes 3 months. If you do seedlings, it's going to take 2.5 months from seedlings to full maturity. And then we have the pak choi. It also takes 6 weeks like the kale. So 3 weeks from sow to seedlings, and then another 3 weeks from seedlings to harvesting. Seasoned pepper, it takes 4 months from direct seeds, but if you're doing transplanting of seedlings, it takes 3.5 months. In regards to fertilization, you can use either man-made or natural fertilizer. So we start with the natural fertilizer. Natural fertilizer is in the space of dung or manure. Whether you use sheep, cow, goat, chicken, whatever it is, you just have to ensure it is fully dry before you apply it. If you apply it before it's fully dry, it can burn down the plants. If you're going to use man-made fertilizer, you can use Miracle Grow. The instructions are always on top of these items, so it will be able to guide you as to how much teaspoon, tablespoon, whatever the requirement is per plant. So we decided to use a grow box today, but you're not limited to just using a grow box. In the event you want a more cost-effective mechanism to use to do some cultivation in your backyard, you can use recycled items. So you could probably use tires, you could use blocks, you could use water bottles. You just cut off the bottom and you use that. You could even use laundry detergent bottles. You just cut them off and you could also replant in things like that. You can use old gutters. There are a number of things that you can use to do some sort of planting in your small space and be able to eat what you grow at the end of the day.
Fresh local fruit and vegetables produced for our nourishment. Buy local, eat local.
It's a universal principle of life, a fundamental human right. Everyone should have access to enough, nutritious, diverse, affordable, and safe foods. It starts with nature, a journey from our farms to our tables, where we come together to celebrate our cultural identities. World Food Day. Food is a right, every day, for everyone, everywhere.
And there you have it, viewers. Another episode of On the Farm, where we're vocal about everything local. I am Shakima Hanley. Just to recap this episode, we were here in a backyard garden where we were able to show the person how to cultivate a small little backyard space using a grow box. We were able to tell them what to look out for in terms of the ideal location, how many times a day they should water, how they can also fertilize their plants, whether it's with natural or man-made fertilizers, and the things to look for as the crop grow and progress in terms of pests and diseases. Additionally, updates, Agri-Expo, remember the date, 27th and 28th of March, and registration is already open. Deadline is on the 14th of March. For food vendors, your fee is $300, business $175, ornamentals $175, cosmetic $175, farmers $150, craft $150. To register, you can call the department at 469-5521 extension 6511, or if you know anybody who works at the department or the ministry, hit them up, ask them where you can go, and come by the office right on Prospect to register for your various booths. Until next time, I am Shakima Hanley. Remember, we are vocal about everything local. And plant what you eat what you grow. Bye!